All right, hello and welcome back to our series on Let's Talk About the Church that we're going through with our Fusion Youth group on Friday nights. My name is David Gowdy, and tonight we're going to talk about why church membership matters. So as we dive into that, I want to start off by reading a passage from Romans chapter 12, verses 3 to 13. So I'm going to read. It says, "For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned. For as in one body we have many members, and the members do not all have the same function, so we, though many, are one body in Christ, and individually members of one another. Having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, let us use them. If prophecy, in proportion to our faith. If service, in our serving. The one who teaches, in his teaching. The one who exhorts, in his exhortation. The one who contributes, in generosity. The one who leads, with zeal. The one who does acts of mercy, with cheerfulness. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality." So as I said, the question that we are tackling today is why church membership matters. We're going to go through this in three movements. We're going to see what church membership is not. Then we're going to ask what church membership is. And those two things together are going to help us understand why church membership matters and ultimately answer that question. So first, what church membership is not. Church membership is not necessarily the same as being part of the church. When you're saved by Christ, you become a part of the people of God. And likely this happens before a formal commitment was made to a local church in membership. You heard the gospel, you received it by faith, you believed, and you became a part of the church before you made that formal commitment to become a part of its membership in the local community. You can even think of young believers who may not be old enough to become members in your church. But by faith and by participation, they are still part of that local community. They may not be members, but they are a part of the church. Their names may not be written in the church directory, but they are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. You can think also of committed disciples who may have moved cities. They had to leave the membership of their old church. And for a time, they may not be members of a new church in that new city. But that doesn't mean they aren't a part of the church or a part of that church. It simply means that they have not become members yet. Simply having your name down for membership doesn't automatically make you a part of the church. And you can see that on the negative side as well. Judas was formally counted as one of the disciples and yet betrayed Jesus to death. And the Bible talks about false brothers. Jude says that some creep in unnoticed. So they may be members on paper, but in reality, they have not surrendered their lives to Christ. Another way that can be the case is you can be a member of the church or of Morning Star, but not be a part of what Morning Star is doing, inwardly and outwardly. Participation in the church is rarely passive, but sometimes members can be passive. And the reality is just because your name's written in membership doesn't necessarily make you a part of the church in and of itself. So church membership is not necessarily the same as being part of the church. And it's also not like a subscription to a magazine or to a special club. The church exists for the glory of God in the love-filled worship and service of his people. That means it's not primarily about meeting my individual needs, like a subscription might be. The church is called to meet needs, it is, and God will often meet your needs through the prayers and through the generosity of his church. But church is first and foremost about God, not about me. It exists for his glory and the love-filled worship and service of his people. Again, unlike a subscription, paying a certain amount of money doesn't automatically make you a member. Members give to the church, but it is not giving that makes them members. And then tying off of this idea as well, paying a certain amount of money doesn't entitle members or shouldn't entitle members to special privileges within the church either. We see in James that having a gold ring and fine clothing doesn't award you any particular place in God's economy. Giving money or giving time to the church doesn't mean that you should get better services available to you, or a better seat, or more voice in church matters than even the poorest in our midst. It is not a subscription. Church membership, on the other hand, and that's where we go to the second point, because it's not necessarily the same as being part of the church. It's not the same as the subscription. So what is it? If you look at the worksheets that we have, the kind of definition I gave is it's a formal commitment to love the local body of God's people, identifying with and submitting to them, the leadership, and to God. So we are called as God's people to love and serve one another, and to serve the world alongside one another. Membership takes that calling, which can seem kind of abstract, and it makes it formal, it makes it tangible. It's a commitment to real people in real time in a real community in order to best reflect what the church is and what the church is called to do. Like we said before, we said that the church is a body, the church is a family, and being identified with that, it matters. My finger is so much a part of my body that it is called David's finger. That's what it is. Likewise, I am a part of the church. I'm united with my brothers and sisters. I identify with the people of Morning Star Christian Fellowship in membership, and I'm not ashamed to do so. In being a member, you identify formally with that body of local believers. We're going to go into why church membership matters, and it matters for 3 reasons. It allows more consistent accountability and participation in church life. It allows for better effectiveness and witness to the world, and it also assists leaders in their ministry. So the first thing I want to talk about is that it is consistent accountability and participation in church life. In membership, and I would argue in most things, there is security and commitment. In committing to membership, we create a secure and a rooted community. We aren't going anywhere. We have made promises to one another, and those are things we are not about to walk away from easily. In that security, there is now this beautiful room for growth, for failure, for offense. There is room for persecution and suffering, and members will not be quick to just walk away from one another. There's a beautiful consistency and commitment and love that unites us in membership. Because of this, members can be better held accountable to one another and to the truth of God's word that we have all submitted under in becoming members. We have all received the gospel as members, and we can hold each other accountable to the gospel which we have all received together. Having made this declaration of faith, other members now hold us to that and help us live that out. God also gives different gifts for the flourishing of the body to different members. That's important. It helps in the participation of church life. When we become members, our gifts can be better identified and put to use. Whether it's serving or teaching or hosting or praying, members are used for the ministry of the church. It's not just the pastors or the elders of the church that run this place. No, it is all the members working together in unity. And as we submit to membership formally within Morningstar, within your local church, as you do that, your gifts can be better identified and put to use for the service of all people and ultimately the world, which is the second point. In becoming members, there is better effectiveness and witness to the world. In 1 Peter 2, 9-12, it says, "You are a chosen race, a royal priesthood." It says of the church that we are a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Once you were not a people, but now you are God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. Beloved, I urge you as sojourners and exiles to abstain from the passions of the flesh, which wage war against your soul. Keep your conduct among the Gentiles honorable, so that when they speak against you as evildoers, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day of visitation. Together, the church is to proclaim the excellency of Christ to a watching world. In Ephesians 3:10, it also says that the church manifests the manifold wisdom of God to the rulers and authorities. That means all nations. That means all created things will see the wisdom of God in the church being the church, in members uniting together in membership. We can proclaim the excellency of Christ to a watching world. And this is done, like 1 Peter says, by being a unique people, a peculiar people among a culture that is often low commitment, that can be more self-centered, that can feel entitled to a lot of things. Membership, on the other hand, it marks you as among God's unique people. Together, we are better mobilized in outreach, evangelism, and global mission when we submit to that kind of membership. And the last thing I wanted to point out quickly about membership is that it assists leaders in their ministry. And we can see very practically how that's true. In Hebrews 13:17, it says, "Obey your leaders and submit to them. They are keeping watch over your souls as those who will have to give an account." Membership assists those in ministry over us. The leaders better know who they are leading, who they are shepherding, for whom they must give an account to God. The reality is that leaders can better serve and are better served when their congregation is formally united under some common membership, when they know precisely who they are leading and the people and the gifts of those people within their church. It is loving to your pastor to submit to membership. And it allows your pastor to better love and serve you as he has been called to do. It assists leaders in their ministry. So in conclusion, I just want to read what's on the worksheet because I think that summarizes everything I've been saying pretty well. And the worksheet will be in the bio of the Instagram or on YouTube, I think in the comments. So feel free to download that and take a look. So I'm just going to read what's on the worksheet there. It says the church is a covenant community, deeply committed and connected. Membership reflects and actively participates in that reality, taking seriously the life to which all disciples of Jesus have been called. By allowing the church to be what it is meant to be, membership makes possible a far richer blessing for all people. Membership is a formal commitment to love the local body of God's people, identifying with and submitting to them, the leadership, and to God. Membership allows for more consistent accountability and participation in church life, better effectiveness and witness to the world, and also assists leaders in their ministry. It is for the good of the individual, it's for the good of the church, the unbelieving world, and for the glory of God. Thanks, guys.